It's now my pleasure and honor to introduce our speakers for this morning's program, John DeMain and Robert Reed. In his 32nd and final season as music director of the Madison Symphony Orchestra, Grammy and Tony Award-winning conductor John DeMain is noted for his dynamic performances on concert and opera stages throughout the world. During more than 3 decades in Madison as the MSO music director, DeMain has consistently raised the quality of the orchestra and elevated the relevance of the organization in the community. His active conducting schedule has taken him to stages of the National Symphony, the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, the symphonies of Seattle, St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Columbus, Houston, San Antonio, Long Beach, and Jacksonville, along with the Pacific Symphony, Boston Pops, Aspen Chamber Orchestra, Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra, London Sinfonata, Orchestra of Sevilla, the Leipzig MDR. Ooh, there's a long German word there I should have prepped for. He is conducted in Leipzig. Mexico's Orchestra Sinfónica Nacional, and DeMain also serves as the artistic director for the Madison Opera. During his distinguished 17-year tenure with the Houston Grand Opera, DeMain led a history-making production of Porgy and Bess, winning a Grammy Award, Tony Award, France's Grand Prix du Disque, and the RCA recording. In spring of 2014, the San Francisco Opera released an HD DVD of the most recent production of Porgy and Bess, conducted by John DeMain. DeMain holds honorary degrees from the University of Nebraska, Edgewood College, and he is a fellow of the Wisconsin Academy of Sciences, Arts, and Letters. He resides in Madison with his daughter, and his daughter, Jennifer, is a UW-Madison graduate. Robert Reed joined Madison Symphony Orchestra as executive director in June of 2022. In his 36 years managing orchestras and cultural arts organizations, he has successfully fundraised in capital campaigns, long-range strategy, artistic planning, and labor relations, and has worked to build engagement in the opportunities he has served. Under his leadership, the Madison Symphony Orchestra has reached new audiences through its MSO at the Movies series, featuring film screenings with live orchestras, and its new MSO On the Go series of community and family concerts and diverse programming on the Symphony's regular subscription series. Robert is a member of the Rotary Club of Madison and currently serves on the club's board of directors. This morning, John and Robert are going to walk us through the Madison Symphony Orchestra's 100th year anniversary and how MSO positively contributes to the Madison economy, to downtown, and to our community. So with that, let's please welcome up John DeMain and Robert Reed. You're on the bell.
Good morning, everybody. I wanted to just try to pretend that I have as much energy as Jason at this time of the morning, but I don't think that's really possible. But I am so glad to be here to be able to speak with you for a bit this morning, and also going to turn it over to the microphone to have John DeMain speak for the bulk of this time. I want to just give you a little few facts about the Madison Symphony Orchestra. One, we are 100 years old officially. We started in 1925. We're 100 years old. So if you would think about what did we survive in this 100 years, we as a nonprofit organization, which many nonprofits have not been able to make it this long, we have survived the Great Depression, World War II, the Korean War, the Civil Rights Movement, the Vietnam War, the Persian Gulf War, wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and even the COVID crisis, and we're still here. And so we're thrilled that we were able to provide a service to the community of Madison for 100 years now. I want to also put things in perspective for you. If you look at how many orchestras there are in the United States of America, there's actually 2,435 orchestras in the United States. It's an approximate number. Now, if you look at that, there is just a little bit more than 100 that have actually made it to 100 years. And so we're in that rarefied air of being one of those organizations that have existed for this long and have been able to provide the service to their community. So we're thrilled. We also generate a lot of the revenue. One other fact that most people don't realize, if you look at arts and you look at sports, when it comes to the tax dollar, when it comes to emissions, the arts organizations generate more tax revenue than all of the sports teams combined. Yes, I had to say that. Some of it is because there's a lot more arts organizations than there are sports teams. You can only have so many professional football teams, professional baseball teams, professional hockey teams. But when you look at that revenue, it's amazing how much we are not just an entertainment institution. We are bringing a, an economic driver for communities because we're bringing in lots of tax dollars. And also when people go to the symphony, a lot of times they are going to dinner before or after. Okay, and they also are going out to eat. They are going out sometimes to get clothing, to buy for things. And so again, we're bringing in lots of economic benefits for the community. So I want to first give you my definition of what the symphony is. Here, let me find my notes. The Madison Symphony is not just a cultural asset. We are a powerful economic driver and contribute significantly to a vibrant and prosperous society. We contribute to the GDP, support jobs, generate tax revenue, and drive tourism. I want to give you some of the benefits of the symphony. We provide a social impact. We address social issues in a lot of the music that we perform. We promote understanding and foster a sense of belonging within communities. We are very inclusive of all communities, and we are very much wanting to bring people together. We also do a lot of educational enrichment. We provide educational opportunities for people of all ages. We foster creativity, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills. We're big in community engagement. We have events and opportunities for community members and community organizations to connect with each other and provide solving skills, participate in solving skills. We also do a lot with creative placement. The MSO enhances the cultural identity of the greater Madison community. We are very much into family and belonging also. One of the things that's always heartrending for me that I always enjoy, when people have gone to the symphony for a while, and it's not just a symphony, other arts groups can claim this too, you form a sense of family. So if you've been attending for, let's say, 10 years, you get to know those people who are sitting around you, and they sort of become family to you. And so a lot of times when a person who's lost a spouse in particularly, and they may feel, down that I don't have anyone, that family rallies to the person's benefits. So they're no longer alone because they have people who they become good friends with because they happen to sit with them year in and year out. And so we really do sense that sense of belonging for people, and we're really thrilled of that benefit that we provide. We're happy to be the Madison Symphony Orchestra. We're happy to be one of the largest arts organizations here in the Madison region. Well, I would say that's not a bricks and mortars. Overture Center is an amazing organization too, but we are thrilled for what we provide to this community. We also provide such a great resource that people don't feel like they have to get away to go see other things. When I told people at Rotary last week, when I moved here 3 years ago, I didn't really know Madison that well. I was recruited by a headhunter. You have to come to Madison. You have to come to Madison. And initially, living in Texas, I thought they were crazy. But I said, okay, I'll give it a chance. And then so after the interview process, I was offered the job. And I said, okay, let's see where this takes me. But I thought to myself, when I get bored, I will go to Chicago and have my sense of fun and, take in all the things that I need. In 3 years, I've been to Chicago twice, and both times were work related. And then so it's just so much to see and do here. I laugh now and I'm going, oh, I can't wait to get to Lake Superior now. Finally got to Door County last year, but there's so many things in Madison. I just went to Devil's Lake for the first time, a few weeks ago. I'm like, people don't realize it's so wonderful being in this community. There's so much to do that you really don't need to go to other places to find, things to enjoy. So I love living here. I love being part of the Madison Symphony Orchestra. And I want to, before I step down, I want to say thank you to all the people. I see many people here, some who are board members, some who are donors, some who are regular attendees of the symphony, some who are volunteers. I want to say thank you for attending. And I want to challenge each and every one of you. It's our 100th anniversary season. If you think you have not, if you know that you have not been to a symphony concert, take a chance. Most people don't realize you know a lot more than you give yourself credit for. When I say that is, all of you know movies. Soundtracks are in every movie now. So most people don't realize when, like I always say, Apocalypse 9, when those helicopters are flying, you're hearing the Ride of the Valkyrie. Bugs Bunny has done more to classical music than any other person too. There's so much music in your everyday life. If you even are into professional wrestling, there's a theme. I'm not, but if you are, there's a theme song for all like the big name wrestlers. They all have a theme song that they all come into. Music is in everybody's life each and every day. So you know a lot more about it than you give yourself credit. So whether your taste may be, something that's a little bit more on the classical side or something that's more popular, come and experience the symphony. We have at each table, there's some brochures at each table. Feel free to take a brochure. Feel free to go to our website and you can be able to see a little bit more. I also want to mention, I forgot to mention one thing about we have 91 musicians in the Madison Symphony Orchestra. They're all professional musicians who have moved here from across the country to play in the Madison Symphony Orchestra. And the quality of the orchestra is extremely strong because of that. And we're thrilled with the quality that we're receiving. We have now, it's a competition for people to become a member of the Madison Symphony Orchestra. Years ago, when John first started, most of the musicians were coming from the region and maybe Chicago. Now, when the auditions are coming from LA, they're coming from New England, they're coming from all over. And so it's just because of the quality of the organization. Our education is pretty strong. We get to partner with wonderful organizations like WISO, the Madison Youth Choirs, Mount Zion, many schools, the colleges, University of Wisconsin, Madison College. And so it's thrilling that we have great partnerships in the community. We also do things in the community called Heartstrings. And so we have a service that we go to the mental facilities that have memory care, and we have musicians who perform, and we have the egg shakers and the scarves and various things, and we have people who actually who are part of that, who actually normally don't speak, who actually speak when we come and perform for them. And so we provide a service for that. We have a couple of string quartets who perform in various parts of the community throughout the year. And so we're thrilled with what we're doing, but we know that there's a lot more there. So without any further ado, I'm going to have John DeMaine come and talk a little bit more about the season itself. So welcome, John, to the stage.
Thank you, Robert. I just would like to get one thing clear, that it's not my centennial that we're celebrating. That's 19 years from now. Who knows? Another thing I'd like to get clear for 32 years. You're not coming to see me tonight on the square. That's the other orchestra, the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra. I always say that because when I got here 32 years ago and I went out to fill out my bank account and open up a bank account, she looked at me and she said, "We're coming to see you tonight at the square." And I said, "No, that's the other group." However, half of our musicians play in the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra, and of course, they're a fantastic group of musicians as well. But it's interesting because the creation of that, people have asked me for a long time, why didn't the symphony do that? Well, I think the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra was the Wisconsin Summer Symphony, and when it happened that they created their first concert on the square, it was never presented to this. It was never presented to the symphony, and the symphony was never involved in it. So that is their gig, and of course, it is a phenomenal thing that has happened for the community. But I always say we're the winter act. So although the Chamber Orchestra now does a full season in the Capitol Theater, but we do a big season in Overture Center for the Arts. So I wanted to build on what Robert was saying. 91, absolutely incredible musicians who, if you heard them individually audition, you'd be blown away at their capabilities on their instruments. They're just phenomenal. And when we do our first subscription concert this year in October, we'll have like 110 musicians on stage because the Mahler Symphony that I'm doing is just huge. And what's so great about that? So I just want to say a little bit about the structure. So the Madison Symphony is a part-time professional orchestra, meaning that they are paid every time they rehearse and they play. The Milwaukee Symphony is a full-time orchestra, which means they have retirement benefits, insurance, they have, they're a weekly orchestra. Those kinds of orchestras exist usually when there's a population of over 1 million people. So when you're talking Chicago, Detroit, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, New York, the big giant orchestras, there's a population base to support it full time. In a city of this size, which is a good mid-sized American city, we do a lot of services. We probably play close to 100 services over the course of the year, but we're part-time in that sense. So people have other jobs. There are a lot of advantages to what we do because our musicians are never bored or jaded. They can't wait to sit down and play. And the audience feels that when they go to the concert. They just have an incredible experience. And when the guest artists come to play with us, they always turn to me and they go, gee, this orchestra really loves music. Yeah, they do. And one of my things I'm proud of over my 32 years is to nurture that and make it to be a really wonderful and exhilarating experience to play. So anyway, we have a lot of goals that we've set up for this season to celebrate. And that is, first of all, a nod to the past, but to set the stage for the future. And I just want to tell you that Michael Olson, who writes our program notes, has written a phenomenal history of the Madison Symphony Orchestra that will come out in October. And he's done incredible research, and you will learn so much about the community as you're going through this book, as well as the orchestra. I'm only the 4th music director in 100 years. So, but we're also pointing the way towards the next 100 years. And in the past 2 years, we've had guest conductors, and this year we have 4, one of whom most likely will become the next music director of the Madison Symphony. So we're also setting the stage this year for the next 100 years as I wind down it will be 32 years that I've been music director. I hope to return to do some concerts as whatever they call me after this year is over, but and as we get the new music director in place. But that's part of our celebration right now. I also am very thrilled that 2 of the contemporary composers that we have on this season, Gabriella Lena Frank and Mason Bates, both have operas that are premiering at the Metropolitan Opera this year. Mason Bates is opening the season. Gabriella Frank is later on in the season. So we will hear music by them throughout the year. So, I also, in our partnerships, one of the things that we do, Final Forte on television, that's a partnership that we've had with, Wisconsin Public Radio, Wisconsin Public Television. And we are very proud of that and with what we do with young artists and young musicians. And the advantage of having this level professional in our community is that they're teaching your kids, both grade school, high school, college level, and any kid that has the good fortune to study with a member of the Madison Symphony Orchestra is getting like the finest, training that you could imagine. So that's one of the advantages. I love to do really big pieces because I love to get all those teachers on stage playing together. All these musicians playing together who are so phenomenal. And as Robert said, we now truly attract from all over the United States people who want to come here, and they know it's not full time. But they know it's a great orchestra and a great organization and a fiscally successful organization. And musically, they're going to be with fantastic colleagues. So they audition, they come here, and they move here. And so it's getting richer and richer every second. So for the centennial year, I'd like to tell you a little bit about that as we reach out into the community with some very special events, as well as a spectacular season. So we begin in September with something we've never done before. We're going to have a centennial opening weekend. And on Friday night at 6 o'clock, we're going to have an all Tchaikovsky concert, which will last for 90 minutes. It'll be over by 7:30, so you can all come to the concert and then go to dinner. Some people are all there. There is a dinner in the lobby afterwards. I think that's sold out. And but the concert has a lot of good availability in it. And the star of that concert is Olga Kern. Olga Kern's a past Van Cliburn winner. She's phenomenal. And she also wears great gowns because she has her own designer. So I say that because all of us want to see what Olga's going to wear because she's a fun lady. But anyway, she's going to play the Tchaikovsky piano concerto, the famous one, bum 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 bum, bing bum bum bum, that one. And I went online to see if she'd recorded it, and she has. And I've been talking to other people who've heard her played it with. My jaw dropped when I heard her play, and I thought, I've got to accompany that. Oh my God. So I've been working on it because she has fingers that will just, I mean, it's jaw dropping what she can do on the keyboard. So I would go to that if I were you. You won't be disappointed, and then you can have dinner afterwards. On Saturday night, the first time ever, we're bringing a circus troupe called Cirque de la Symphonie, which is like the Cirque du Soleil. And we'll have apparatus in the front of the stage for, high flying acts and all the different kind of circus things. And I'll be conducting about 16 themes or excerpts from famous movies, and they will do what they're doing to, movies from the past and current movies. And the whole orchestra will be on stage. So that's going to be fun. And then afterwards, for people who pay a little bit extra, there's a disco party out in I call it disco, but there's a party out in the lobby with a DJ. And so we're hoping that a younger crowd will come to that. And of course, you can go online and see the Cirque du Soleil. I mean, they're just sensational. So that's going to be great. From there, we move into our normal subscription season. And that's nostalgic for me because it's my last season as artistic director of the orchestra. And so I've sprinkled this with artists that I've wanted to work with, who have worked with us over the years, pieces that you've all fallen in love with classical music to. And so we start in October with something that is very dear to me, Mahler. Gustav Mahler, for those of you who don't know, was a Viennese composer who wrote at the turn of the century. He wrote these colossal symphonies. And Leonard Bernstein was one of the conductors who were sort of the middle of the last century, championed him and made him popular. And he writes for these big orchestras and fabulous parts for the horns and the brass. And it's something that I was an opera conductor for so many years, but Mahler didn't write any operas. And so I said, well, when I become a symphony conductor, I want to conduct Mahler. So my very first concert, I did the Mahler First Symphony. And this second symphony is considered maybe one of the top 5 greatest symphonies ever written. And it's called The Resurrection. It has that theme to it. And it calls for soloists as well. And Jenny Hauser and Emily Fons will be our soloists. And then I wanted to have Christopher Taylor, who's at the U, be part of this 100th anniversary season, because Christopher has done a lot with us over the years. And so he's going to play. And then Mason Bates wrote a piece called Resurrects It, which is a different view of the idea of resurrection, and you will hear Middle Eastern themes. It's brand new. It's a fascinating piece, and it's absolutely virtuosic, demanding some pretty fancy playing from the strings, as well as some powerful brass writing, and it will pair in incredible contrast to the Mahler, both dealing with the same subject. In November, we have the first of our guest conductors, Robert Moody. And we have on that concert cellist Albin Gerhardt, who is one of the Madison Symphony's favorite cellists over the years. We call him the cellist's cellist. He enjoys a top rank international career, and he was someone that I wanted to have with us because he's a great player and musician. And on that concert is Pictures at an Exhibition, Mussorgsky, with the last room with the great Kate of Kiev. So that's going to be really a barn raiser. And we have a beautiful piece by contemporary composer. You'll see that there's always a modern composer on each, but these composers write pieces now for you, for the audience to hear. It's not like in the last century when the new music was ugly and unlistenable and people ran out of the auditorium. So Christopher Theophanidis is Rainbow Body. I actually did Rainbow Body about 15 years ago. It's one of the most beautiful new pieces that we have, and has probably been performed more than any other piece by orchestras all over the country. And I don't need to say much about the Christmas concert, except that that's sometimes we have such a big audience for the Christmas concert. Everybody, they feel if they go to the Christmas concert, they've seen the symphony, they've heard the symphony for the year, so they don't have to go with anything else. But we built this up over the years, and the Christmas concert was where I like to share with our arts partners. So we have the Madison Youth Choirs, we have the Mount Zion Gospel Choir. I always bring in a couple operatic soloists. And we run the gamut, with audience sing along. And this year we have a few fun things. I mean, I'm going to do, on my very first season, I did a big thing of Hansel and Gretel. And so I'm just going to do the pantomime just to sort of acknowledge my last season from Humperdinck's Hansel and Gretel. But we're going to do the theme from Elf, which we've never done before, which is a lot of fun. And then we have the boy choir this year from the Madison Youth Choirs, and they're going to sing a theme from the movie, the cartoon, The Snowman. If some of you know that, it's a beautiful, beautiful theme. And we always have audience favorites like "Oh Holy Night" and the Hallelujah chorus from the Messiah, and all of those. It's a concert of tradition but fun, and I always have some surprises on the concert. So I know I don't need to speak too much about that, because that concert sort of sells itself. It's a lot of fun, and it's a real celebration of the community. And I realize how old I am when members of the Madison Youth Choir come as adults and said to me, "I sang with you when I was 8 years old." Thank you very much. I'm really glad to hear that. So in January, one of my favorite pianists, Yefim Bronfman, who is, of course, at the height of his career, plays with the New York Philharmonic, all the major orchestras every year. He's a giant. And I'm sorry I'm not conducting that concert, because we have a great relationship. But this was when he was available, because he's very busy. But he loves to come to Madison. And so he's playing Brahms, the great Brahms B-flat piano concerto. And we have Kazim Abdullah as our second guest for this year. He's had quite a career in Europe, and now he's coming back to this country. And that will be, this is the concert where this Gabriela Elena Frank, is a Peruvian composer. Well, she's Peruvian heritage, and she will be playing we will hearing a piece of hers called Escaramuzza. And then we have the beautiful Suite from the Rosenkavalier, my favorite opera, Richard Strauss. So that, and I wanted these guest conductors who are vying for my job to deal with music from the 21st century, because this is where we are. And I wanted to make sure that along with conducting the classics, that they could handle new music as well. And of course, they've come up with these fabulous choices. But I'll just say a word about the level of the search committee has gone out and heard the people that we've invited in their current environments with whatever orchestra they're with, so that the conductors who've been invited to come here are absolutely phenomenal. I think Laura Jackson just conducted the Chicago Symphony a couple of weeks ago at Ravinia. So, I mean, the level is unbelievably high. So it's really worth your checking these out, because you'll have, I mean, the ones that came this year were just spectacular. The concerts were spectacular. And the orchestra really plays well for them, because they want the conductor to like them. And the conductor, of course, wants the orchestra to like the bats back and forth, the two-way street. So the playing is at a really high level. So it's really, really great. February, we have a return guest conductor that the orchestra liked very much in her debut a couple of years ago, Tanya Miller. And the guest artist with her is Rachel Barton Pine. And Tanya is going to do, for her big piece, the great work by Stravinsky, Petrushka. And Rachel Barton Pine is going to play the Korngold violin concerto. Korngold was a film composer who wrote gorgeous, gorgeous melodies. And this violin concerto is one of the great beauties of what he wrote. And there's a few other, Mendelssohn and Debussy on the concert. That should be, and Rachel Barton Pine has done so much with her life in helping composers of color and bringing to the fore composers who she we all feel have are great quality to their work, but have been, neglected for whatever reasons. And so she's got some really interesting recordings out there. You might want to check it out. She's really into EDI, as we are at the symphony. And as you can see by the different variety of artists that we have and conductors, we're looking at women, persons of color, and all kind, just a big spectrum for the next music director. In March is a special concert for me because my guest artist is Emmanuel Axe. Emmanuel Axe has had a relationship with the Madison Symphony long before I got here. And he's, up into my age category now. He's simply one of the world's giants and continues to be, and plays, magnificently and with the major orchestras all over the world. But I have to say, he was the one artist that called me personally. When these artists come in, I see them on Wednesday. We dress rehearse on Thursday. We play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then maybe I don't see them again for 2 or 3 years. He called me when my wife passed away personally. He's such a great man as well as a great artist. And he's playing one of the giant Mozart piano concertos. And on that concert, we have another woman who is at the peak of her popularity right now, Gabriela Ortiz. It's a great, great composer. And there's a wild piece that we're going to play of hers. And then we're going to do the famous Pines of Rome, where we have brass all over the hall and designed to thrill you. So that, and we open with Richard Strauss's Till Eulenspiegel, the big tone poem, the big orchestra. So these, I like big. I have suffer from a Cecil B. DeMille complex. The bigger, the better. And then the April concert will feature another woman, Laura Jackson, who's currently with the Reno Philharmonic in Nevada. And her concert will include a Peruvian composer, Jimmy Lopez, and she's doing, the piece he's doing is called Fiesta, 4 pop dances for orchestra. That should be fun. And her big piece is the Sibelius Second Symphony, and the guest artists on that program, Los Angeles Guitar Quartet. So there's not a lot of concertos for guitar quartet, but Rodrigo, who wrote the Concerto Aranjuez, which is the famous guitar concerto they always play with symphony orchestras, he also wrote a concerto for 4 guitars. So they will play that. But they are a highly recorded group, and they have arrangements to all different kinds of music. So their encores are going to be as much fun as the actual concerto. So they were a huge hit the last time they were here, and I thought it was important to bring them back. And then the final concert of the season features the chorus and a work by Jake Heggie called Earth, a choral symphony, which is a commission for a new work for the season. And it will also feature the great international soprano Eileen Perez, who just sang Mimi with the Chicago Lyric in May. You'll see her on TV in leading roles when the Met's on television. She's beautiful. She's got a gorgeous voice. And so we're happy to have her. And on that concert, I would say, so when you do a world premiere and you do a new piece, it's hard to sell tickets to something that people don't know. So I put the Beethoven Fifth on the concert so people would come. And it's also, what needs to be said about Beethoven and the Fifth Symphony in particular, the celebration of the human spirit. The last thing we do for the centennial, which is really special, is we're going to have a 2-day free event in Overture Hall, where we're taking over most of the hall in its different facilities and inviting groups. I think we've invited 38 music groups to play with. It's going to be like Broadfest, where there's something every hour, including a yoga class in the morning. And there will be, this is all free. And the 38 groups that we're bringing in are non-traditional. There's some classical chamber groups, but there's rock groups, jazz groups. There's all kinds of music that we'll have represented, because we want to embrace the community. and want the community to embrace us, and everybody realize it's for everything. What was my inspiration for this was 20 years ago when Overture Center for the Arts opened. Jerry Fauci stood in the doorway and greeted people off the streets so people could come in and get to know the building. And this is what we want to do, is we want to greet people off the streets, and, we'll have the place all decorated and all these different activities going so people can get to know about us and we can get to know about them. And during that 2-day weekend on Saturday morning will be 11 o'clock free concert for children, family concert conducted by my assistant Kyle Knox. And Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock is my last concert as music director. And that concert will have some real favorites. I mean, after I open with a real loud fanfare festive prelude, I'm going to do Gershwin's American in Paris. We're going to do 4 movements from Holst's The Planets, including the famous ones that you all like and know. And then we're going to have the last movement of the Beethoven Symphony. I'm going to just say a word about that. You know, every time we do the Beethoven Ninth, right, we do that, we get a letter saying, why did I have to sit 45 minutes before you played that theme? Because there's 3 other movements before you get to the famous one. So for this time round, we're going to start with the famous one and just do that, so that everybody can have a good time. Also, the guest artist in that concert is from Milwaukee, Julian Rhee. Last year, he placed 5th in the Queen Elizabeth competition in Belgium. It is the international violin competition in the world. And you could say that he's the 5th greatest violinist in the world by placing 5. And he has been with us since he was 9 years old. And he wore those red rim glasses when he was 9. And then he won, you know, our competitions when he was 13. Then he won Final Forte. He won everything. In fact, when he was so mature for his age. And last year 2 years ago, when I was celebrating my 30th anniversary, he came and played and it was just glorious. But I said, this time around, rather than play Mozart and rather than play Brahms and all that, why don't you, I want him to do something where he shows off the fun stuff that a violin can do. So he's going to play the Carmen Fantasy and Zergoinaweiser by Sarasate, which is just, you know, full of the pyrotechnics of what a virtuoso violinist can do. So that's our centennial season. And in addition to that, of course, we're doing 2 movies, Toy Story and Indiana Jones. That's a nice experience. You know, when you go to see the movie, if you haven't done this already, there's a big screen in Overture Hall. People travel with those movies. And the orchestra is amplified and mixed into the verbal soundtrack, but all the music is played live. But the way you mix it, you feel like you're at the actual movie and you're watching the movie, but that orchestra is right there in front of you. And so you focus a little bit more on how a composer set a particular scene. So, you know, and of course, John Williams is so phenomenal. And I remember, you know, we've been doing this Harry Potter series with Overture Center. And I went up and asked them, and they bring in their own conductor, or in this case, now Kyle, my assistant, does these movies. But the Harry Potter franchise had brought in their own conductor. So I went up to ask some of the musicians, I said, what's it like playing Harry Potter? Is it hard? And they said, you can't believe how hard it is to play those Quidditch games. So John Williams really wrote to challenge the orchestra. So that's our season. And I just like to say, it's been a joy to work in front of this group, and to see how we've grown, all of us, from 31 years ago, as I'm in my 32nd season. 31 years ago, a lot of the musicians came from the University of Wisconsin. We still have that, but we have, you know, so much more, as Robert said. And I'm just so proud of the orchestra. And as Robert said, and as all of you said, this is a phenomenal city. And when you think about it, that building for WISO, that building for My Arts, Overture Center for the Arts, the concerts of what this community does for the arts, I think is probably one of the most phenomenal in the country. I mean, I can't think of, you know, many cities that can boast of all what you've done. And so I just want to say thank you, and on to the next 100 years. Thanks.
Well, John, you mentioned what the facilities and how phenomenal they are for our arts community. But I just want to say, on behalf of everyone downtown, John, you are phenomenal for the arts in our community. We cannot thank you enough. The energy and the vibrancy that you all create is magical. It is truly magical. But I also want to say thank you because I've been trying to figure a way out to bring professional wrestling into this event for 8 years. And Robert Reed figured out how to do it. So thank you. Thank you all for joining us today, our What's Up Downtown Breakfast. We hope you can join us next month on a special date. It's going to be on Friday, September 19th, and we're going to have a conversation about housing in downtown with a panel discussion, a very important discussion. Also, hope we see you this weekend at Taste of Madison. So if you're not going to a cabin or somewhere else, we'll just see you buying a lot of different things on the Capitol Square this weekend and supporting downtown. Thank you to our great friends at Carlson Black, O'Callahan and Battenberg, Ho-Chunk Gaming Madison, JP Cullen, Lake Ridge Bank, Urban Land Interest, Boardman Clark, and the Edgewater Hotel. Most importantly, thank you to all of you for your support of Downtown Madison Inc. and Downtown Madison. Hope you have a wonderful weekend and enjoy your holiday. Thank you very much.